Hello and welcome to another episode of the BSN Sports Podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 12th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, October 12th here today, coming off an exciting last night in the world of sports, specifically in the world of baseball and hockey. As you had the Yankees game one of the ALDS last night, they get the win 4-1, and at Madison Square Garden in New York as well, a little bit further away. You had the Rangers and the Lightning, and the Rangers got the win as well, 3-1. So last night was a successful night in New York sports. Rangers start out with a win. Yankees start out the ALDS with a win. And last night was a good night. Last night was an exciting night. And last night was what you hope you get for a lot of October in terms of Yankees playing a lot of playoff games. You obviously need 11 wins to get to the World Series if you get past the divisional round, and the Yankees get one win last night. They got 10 more to go as you continue the countdown, and look, it was a good win last night. We'll get into it. Don't want to get too much into it now because we'll get into it in our first topic. But it was a good win. It was an exciting win. And obviously, you always want to start out the series on a right note, high note, knowing that game two is so much more important if you lose game one. And game two, you can really bury a team. That's how quick series can go. That's how important each of these playoff games are. So we'll start things off today. We'll get into the Yankees game one win. You know the drill. Yankee get into it here. We'll also get to the Rangers as well a little bit later on. But we'll get to the Yankees game one win. They'll have a day off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow, game two against the Guardians. So looking forward to that. If the weather permits, weather does not look good tomorrow. Hopefully they play tomorrow. I do not want a day game on like a Friday or something because it's just day games, playoffs, no need for that. I want a night game. I want a 7:30 Eastern start, whatever it is. Tomorrow night, I think it's 7:37 again. And let's see some Yankees versus Guardians baseball tomorrow night. We'll also get to the MLB playoff update. It'll kind of be like two segments combined into one. So we'll get into that as well. And then we'll obviously get into the New York sports update. Like I mentioned, Yankees with the win last night. Rangers back in action tomorrow night as well. They'll have a back-to-back Minnesota, and then they'll head to Winnipeg for Thursday, Friday here early parts of the season. It was a good win for the Rangers. Sabanajat looked good. A couple really good shifts from Panarin. A good win for the Rangers. And again, this is a season for the Rangers where obviously last year ended in a tough fashion, no doubt about it. But this year you go into the season with the expectation of we definitely should make the playoffs. There's a real good chance we could win the Metropolitan, in which we didn't do last year. And there's a real good chance we could get to the Stanley Cup, especially there's a lot of questions around the Eastern Conference in hockey. There really is, because you look at teams like the Bruins, the Penguins, the Capitals. Are those teams going to be really that good this year? Even a team like the Lightning, or as they continue to get older, what are they going to be? There's a lot of older teams in the Eastern Conference of hockey this year that it makes you wonder, kind of like, where, what's going to be that other team, because a lot of these teams are getting older. And a lot of these teams are not what they once were. And now you see young teams like the Rangers and, even, a relatively younger team like a Carolina start to really kind of step up and make a name for themselves now and really make some noise. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting season, but obviously getting off to a win last night was nice. It was nice it was against Tampa because, you obviously want to beat a team that, coming off the ice in game 6 last year was a real tough one to swallow. I mean, as a fan, watching that game 6 last season, or last year rather, it was a tough one. I mean, it was no doubt about it. You wanted a game 7 back at the Garden. They couldn't get it done. And, a season with, so much excitement to just end like that really hurts. So a good win last night, good bounce back, and get the season off to a right start, which last year they lost opening night and they got smoked against the Capitals. So a bounce back this year on opening night last night. All right, with all that being said, a lot to get to today on the program. This is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So last night was game 1 of the ALDS, and across the leagues, you had game 1 of the ALDS for the Astros and the Mariners, Yankees, Guardians, and the LDS in the National League between the Padres, Dodgers, and the Phillies, Phillies, Braves. Phillies get the win over the Braves 7-6. Padres lose to the Dodgers. Dodgers get the win there 5-3. Mariners with a devastating loss and just a terrible, terrible loss in terms of how they completely dominated Justin Verlander and blew the game. And that's inexcusable, and I wouldn't be surprised if that series now is the next two go right to Houston, because that just sucks so much life right out of a team. You knocked Justin Verlander out of that game early. You were rocking him. Not many games Justin Verlander is going to pitch like that. And when you get an opportunity to hit Justin Verlander like that and you don't win that game, inexcusable loss for the Mariners. Yordan Alvarez with the walk-off home run, 8-7. So they get the win there. And then to finish things off here, the nightcap was really the Dodgers-Padres. But as a Yankee fan last night, you're very excited and you're very happy waking up today to a 4-1 victory over the Guardians and get up to 1-0 in the series. And look, this is a series we all expect the Yankees to win. Right, it is. I mean, I think the Guardians aren't a powerful team by any means. You got to give so much credit to Terry Francona, the way he's handled this team. They went into the year, kind of being, again, I always talk about the AL Central. Like, you look at the AL Central going into this season, it was like, you look at the AL Central going into this season and you say the Tigers could be competitive, White Sox are going to be legit, and the Twins are always in the hunt. And you're thinking to yourself, all right, the Royals are going to struggle. And you're thinking to yourself, Guardians are probably going to struggle too. Instead, it was the Guardians, Twins weren't very good, White Sox weren't good, Tigers were awful, and the Royals were awful. And they go on to win that division. And that's to, obviously, the credit of Terry Francona, the manager, who's taken one of the youngest teams in all of the league and has taken them to the playoffs and beating a veteran Tampa team in 2 games, obviously, over the weekend in the AL Wildcard Series. So you expect them to win, and last night was a big win. Last night is what you wanted to see, and what you saw was a all-around good Yankee team win. And last night was a win where if the Yankees play like this throughout the rest of the postseason, they can go on and do some really great things in terms of good pitching. Look, the hitting could be a little bit better. They only left 1 runner on, but, there was, that one IKF double play. So the runner on, the left on base sometimes a little deceiving. You did put up 4 runs, but to be fair, Cal Quantrill's a good pitcher. Cal Quantrill is a pretty solid pitcher. He's not bad at all. He's not a bad pitcher at all. He's had a solid year. To look at his, season numbers, he was 15-5 with a 3.38 ERA at 32 games started and 21 homers, and he had an opponent batting average of 254. So he was a solid pitcher. It took a couple innings for them to get going. Obviously, they didn't score their first run until the 3rd inning. But again, it was off the home run. And you had Bader getting things started. And what I really liked about last night, too, was it really wasn't outside of the Rizzo homer that was obviously big. You look at the 1, 2, and 3. You look at the first 4 hitters. Stanton, Glaber, Rizzo, and Judge. They combined went 1 for 12. Judge went 0 for 3. Rizzo went 1 for 4. Torres 0 for 3, and Stanton 0 for 2. So combined, they went 1 for 12 with 2 RBIs. Thankfully, the 2 RBIs came from Rizzo. But the reason I bring that up, and we'll get to Cole here in a second because he was phenomenal last night. The reason I bring that up is because why you should feel good about last night's win especially is because you put up 4 runs, and guys like Aaron Judge, he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and a walk. He did have a run score to be fair, but he didn't have his best night ever. Glaber Torres went 0 for 3. Stanton, who's been phenomenal in the postseason, he went 0 for 2 with a walk. Even Oswaldo Cabrera, who's just been really good since coming up, he went 0 for 3. And I'm not trying to point out the negatives. I'm just saying, last night's one of those wins where it's like, as a Yankee fan, you get pumped up because you saw good production from the bottom of the order. You saw Rizzo get involved. You even saw, obviously even Jose Trevino with the sacrifice fly in the 5th inning. And last night's one of those wins where you say to yourself, it's just like this team has so much potential when all these pieces work together. And you saw a glimpse of that last night with Bader, who hit the home run. I got to admit, Bader is the Yankees won that trade, period, end of sentence. And I've always backed Cashman on that. I know I've been very critical of Cashman, but I've always said that throughout this entire process. I said that it's not fair to grade the Jordan Montgomery-Harrison Bader trade until, we see what Bader is as a Yankee, and obviously if Montgomery can keep it up. Sure enough, Monty starts to struggle, and now look, Bader's played a big role last night in the game. And another thing with Bader, too, is He's fast. He's very good in the outfield. And there's that old saying that speed doesn't slump because you're always going to find ways to impact the game with speed. Whether it's defensively, whether it's offensively, like stealing a base. You could be going through a rough stretch. You might reach on a walk, but you're 0 for your last 10, and you might steal 2 bases, and boom, all of a sudden, you got a runner on third in a crucial moment instead of just a runner on first. And Bader brings all that to the table, so it was really good to see that last night. But last night was just a good playoff Yankee win. They put up 4 runs against Quantrill. Obviously, the Guardians bullpen did a fine job holding it down. But last night's just one of those games where it's like you see the 4 runs, you see the 5 hits, and you say to yourself, man, oh man, this team could still reach new levels if you see guys like Judge, Torres, Stanton start to really step up the rest of this series. And then if you move on to the ALCS and so on and so forth, and obviously the ultimate goal is to have a parade down the Canyon of Heroes at the end of this, all holding up number 28. Right, so last night was a good win. And the energy was great to the fans out there. Energy was great. Stadium was roaring. It was great to see Yankee playoff baseball back in the Bronx for the first time since 2019. That was great. Obviously, last season you go to Boston for the wild card game and you lose. The year prior you have the COVID season where you were in the bubble against Tampa and San Diego. So that was obviously no home field advantage there either. And then you go to, now go to 2019. That was the last time they played. And now look at us. Back there last night, stadium was roaring. Great to see. And it's a good win. It's a playoff victory. 2 more to go, then you're on to the ALCS. And it's just like, this is what you're supposed to do. They're better than the Guardians. Go out there and prove it. And the Yankees did that last night. Bader home run, Rizzo home run, Trevino sacrifice fly. Hitting with runners in scoring position, situational hitting is what the Yankees did last night, and that's exactly what you want. It's a 2-1 game. Rizzo comes up, big at bat before they take out Cal Quantrill, and boom, big home run. That gave us again too. We went to the bullpen with a 3-run lead. We had a good cushion. We had a really, really good cushion. We had a 3-run cushion. And that's thanks to Anthony Rizzo. And that's thanks to guys, even a guy like a Trevino with the sacrifice fly to center field to drive in, IKF. Even IKF taking advantage of the E9. All those things. It's the little things in baseball that are going to win you and lose you games. And it's the little things yesterday that won the Yankees the game. Not so much. Obviously, the home run was big. But the sacrifice fly, advancing on a Guardian's mistake, taking advantage of the bad pitches Quantrill threw. Last night was just a good all-around team win. And now we get to the pitching. Total stats for the Yankees, 4 runs, 5 hits, 1 errors, 1 left on base. Cole gets the win. And that brings me to my next point. Garrett Cole last night was phenomenal. And if you're a Yankee fan today, not only do you have to be thrilled with what you saw out of the offense in terms of Rizzo and Bader and guys like that, with the 2 big homers, 3 total runs coming off the home run and then Trevino with the sacrifice fly. Not only do you have to be happy about that, but you also got to be fired up about what you saw last night out of Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole has faced so much criticism as a New York Yankee. Do you start him game 1? What do you do? Is even, you could even make some people were saying, you could make the argument Severino is better than Cole, and Cole's really our 3rd best pitcher. It should be Cortez, then Sevy, and then Cole, and all the noise, and every Yankee fan is a victim of it. Everybody is. Every Yankee fan. You cannot sit here and tell me throughout some of Cole's rougher stretches, you did not criticize him. You can't do it. Throughout a year in which Cole let up 33 home runs, you can't tell me there was times where you didn't criticize him. We all did. I've said it on this podcast. But at the end of the day, the postseason's a completely different year. Looking at my scorebook here, I put in different numbers. Right? Starting tomorrow, I'll put in the postseason numbers. So Cole's numbers starting tomorrow are going to look very good. He's going to go into his next start with a 1.42 ERA. The postseason's a different year. The postseason's a different season. It's completely different. What he did in the regular season's in the rear view. And Cole last night went out there and absolutely shoved and absolutely dominated and did what we needed him to do. At home, game one. Game one. We've been talking about this for months. Who's your game one starter? We all kind of knew it was to be Garrett Cole, but through some of those rough stretches, you hear people say, oh, it should be Nasty Nestor. You even early on in the year heard people say Cole was like our fifth best starter when Tyone was off to a great start, when Monty was off to the great start. I don't want to be, that's a little unfair. That's all the way back in May and stuff. But it was even back then you heard it. And Cole last night went out there and shut up all the critics. You cannot possibly sit here today and criticize Garrett Cole after what he did last night. Garrett Cole last night gave you an ace-like performance. Not an ace-like performance. He gave you a performance by an ace. Look at all the other aces around baseball that have crumbled over the past couple days. Max Scherzer. He was terrible in the bright lights. You could say I wouldn't say Jacob deGrom was terrible, but he wasn't himself. Look at a guy like a Max Fried in Atlanta yesterday getting rocked by the Phillies. Justin Verlander against the Mariners. All these guys in the bright lights crumbled over the past couple days going back to the wild card series. Garrett Cole did not. Garrett Cole went out there, wanted the ball in a big spot, wanted to set the tone early, wanted to go out there and get the team off to a good start in the postseason, and he did just that. And credit where credit is due. A great outing from Garrett Cole, a performance from an ace, from our ace of our rotation, Garrett Cole, with one of his biggest statement outings as a Yankee pitcher in his entire Yankee career. And you look at Cole's postseason numbers with the Yankees, they've actually been really solid. You remove the one start against the Red Sox. So you remove the one start against the Red Sox. His postseason career has been really good. I mean, you look at his postseason ERA, it has really been very good. I mean, you look at it throughout the years in the postseason, 2.45, 3.46, 1.72. Even in his three games pitched in 2020 in the postseason, he pitched to a 3.95 ERA. And then last year he had the dud in Boston, which wasn't good, obviously, but he was playing with a hammy injury. He was playing with a hamstring injury. I'm not trying to make excuse, but he kind of looked like hindsight 2020. Cole's built for the big moment. He is. When he's out there and he's healthy in the postseason, he dominates. Look at the numbers. He does. And he did it again last night. And that was great to see. And that's what you want to see. So a great, great performance last night from Garrett Cole. And obviously a performance that we were all wondering if we were going to get. And we did get just that last night. He had one mistake, and it was the Steven Kwan home run. I think we all, kind of assumed he might let up one home run. But, again, that's another thing, too. He limited the damage. Like, that inning, again, it shows you a little bit of the difference in the pitcher he is in the postseason. That inning yesterday, when it was the third inning and Steven Kwan hits that home run. You get Miles Straw to fly out. Steven Kwan ends up hitting the homer. And then he hits Amed Rosario. And you're thinking to yourself, all right, calm down. And I've said this entire year. The biggest thing with Cole is it's always the one bad inning. And I started, the postseason, hit by pitch, home run, hit by pitch, and everything. Yourself, all right, please don't let this turn into the 4 or 5 run inning that he's had in a lot of his starts this year. Don't let it happen. The next pitch, it's a double. Amed Rosario goes to third, Jose Ramirez to second. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, home run, hit by pitch, double, 1 run in the inning, second and third, 1 out. And I'm getting nervous because, again, you know what, and this will get to my point here in a second. And then you get the fielder's choice, which is, which ended up being, 5-3, all that stuff. It was the fielder's choice. Amed Rosario gets out. And then you had it was a fielder's choice, and then you had the 5-2, Donaldson to home, which was all good. Cuts Rosario out at home. That was all great. So he then gets, the one fielder's choice by Naylor, where he reaches on that, and then it's bases loaded, 1 out. It's bases loaded, 1 out. and he gets a ground ball to Donaldson. Donaldson throws out Rosario, which was a huge, huge play. That was Gonzalez who hit the grounder. And then he strikes out Jimenez, who, by the way, hit a double off of him in the previous inning. So strikes out a guy, bases loaded, 2 outs. The guy hit a double off of you in the previous inning, and you go out there and you strike him out. And it was a great, that was just like, you knew right then and there, that third inning, when Cole got out of that inning, you were like, you know what? He's in lockdown mode. Like, this is playoff Garrett Cole. Regular season Garrett Cole, that would have been a 3-4-5 run inning. Postseason Garrett Cole, he limits the damage, and he gets a big strikeout, and he made whatever adjustments he needed to make, because the previous inning, Andres Jimenez hit the double off of him. And that's what you wanted to see out of Cole, getting out of jams like that. You don't want to see him get into jams, obviously, but throughout the regular season, he's had a tough time getting out of jams. And yesterday, second and third, 1 out is just about as worse as it gets. Bases loaded, 1 out is just about as bad as it can get. The only difference is you get the double play. That's obviously you get the double play scenario with bases loaded, 1 out. Second and third, 1 out, you don't get the double play unless if a runner makes a boneheaded decision or something like that. So that's the only difference. But still, 2 very complicated situations in which, again, Jimenez comes up, a guy that just hit a double off of you. And a guy like a Gonzalez, too, that comes up where he hit 333 in the wild card series. So Cole got out of that jam. He passed that test, and he had a great outing. 6 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, 101 pitches, 63 strikes. Another thing, too, was he had to work a little bit in the first couple innings. He did. I think he left that third inning with like 63, 64 pitches or somewhere around there. And you think to yourself, geez, you might only be able to get 5 out of him. If he works into the fourth, gets about 75, 80, then you're thinking to yourself, all right, you might be only get 5 out of him. He had a couple efficient innings, had the 1-3 inning in the fourth, and then he had the quick. Obviously he walked Jose Ramirez in the fifth, but he ended up just getting Josh Naylor to line out to Bader, and then he worked into the sixth. It was a quick 1-2-3 inning there, striking out Gonzalez, striking out Brennan, and then he went into the sixth or the seventh, got a ground out. Miles Straw ended up singling, and then they brought in Loaizaga to face Kwan. Loaizaga did a really good job. Got Kwan. Kwan ended up singling. He got Rosario to then ground out to a double play. Falefa, he stepped on the back through the first. And then he also got, then Jose Ramirez came in the seventh, eighth, so on and so forth. And it was Peralta who stepped up, made really some big pitches. And then obviously Holmes came in, pitched 2/3 of an inning, hit the first guy. Got, Rizzo obviously to tag the guy out at first. That was Benson, and then he got Straw to fly out to center for the 9th inning. So, again, and you like to see, too, that out of the bullpen. Because, again, Scott, that is another thing I got to touch on, too. Like, Scott Effross, at the beginning of the day, was a big loss. You hear he's done. And you hear Scott Effross is out for the season with, and possibly out for next year as well with Tommy John. And you're thinking to yourself, geez, that is a massive arm that you lose. So, your bullpen last night was Licky, Peralta was your lefties. Your righties were Holm, Castro, Loaizaga, Trevino, Schmidt, Tyone, and Herman. They moved Tyone and obviously Herman to the bullpen. Herman's been in the bullpen a couple times this year already. Tyone, obviously, this is his first time moving him there, rolling with a 3-man rotation. Although you do hear it's possible, depending on how things go, Tyone might get a start in the postseason. If the Yankees are up 2-1, you might get a start from Tyone, maybe to try to win it there and then have Cole and guys like that all rested for the ALCS, or if needed, a Game 5. So I guess you'll see where that takes you. Maybe if you're up 2-0. I think they're going to want to get Sevy out there anyway, but you never know if the Yankees want to try to sneak out a victory with a guy like a Tyone or something like that. I guess we'll see. But, yeah, big win, and the bullpen showed up. Pitching showed up yesterday. The biggest concern is the pitching. That it really is. It's the biggest concern going into the postseason, and yesterday the pitching answered the questions. Bullpen came out, played well. Garrett Cole shut up all the doubters, and the Yankees get the win 4-1. And I don't want to hear today either. Garrett Cole's faced so much criticism. I don't want to hear it's the Guardians. Because if he got crushed, people would be completely destroying him for it. He had a good performance. He went out there, dominated. He got a standing ovation. He did what an ace needs to do. So to all the Met fans out there, because you see some of them that say, oh, it's the Guardians, what about Max Scherzer letting up 7 against the Padres? To all the Astros fans out there saying, "Oh, it's the Guardians." Yeah, I understand you won yesterday, but what about Justin Verlander getting absolutely dominated yesterday? Braves fans with Max Fried, he got crushed yesterday too against the Phillies. I'm not discounting what the Padres did against Scherzer and what the Mariners were able to do early on against Verlander and the way the Phillies and Nick Castellanos won yesterday's game. I'm not taking that away from them, but I'm just showing you the other aces in baseball have struggled, and Garrett Cole yesterday went out and dominated. So I'm going to leave it at that. Really, really pumped up and really excited about what I saw because I really like Cole, and I wanted him out there not only just for not only just for the team and stuff, but for his sake too. Like, shut up the doubters, zip it. And he did that yesterday. So good win for the Yankees, 4-1. But look, it's game 1. You got 10 more to go. Obviously, this isn't, you didn't win it all, but you got a lot more to go. And game 2 will be tomorrow night, hopefully. I mean, I'm so frustrated I don't have the game tonight. I don't know why. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but this is kind of for both teams. Like, baseball's an everyday sport. Why are you not playing today? And then they have a day off Thursday, and then they play again Saturday. This isn't like the basketball or the hockey postseason where it's every other day. What are we going to do? Go with football and play every Sunday here? Do a week, and, what are we going to do? I don't know. I don't like this every other day thing. Now, Thursday, Friday, Thursday they play. Tomorrow they're supposed to play. Friday, they're supposed to have a day off. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they'll play. Now, Saturday's going to be necessary. The next 2 games are Thursday, then Saturday. If needed, games 4 will be Sunday, game 5 will be Monday. So they will play 3 straight games if needed, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, if they need to go to a game 4 or game 5. But it's going to be interesting. You might have to play, if this series does go to 4 straight games or 5 games, if tomorrow's game gets postponed, you might have to play 4 straight games. You might have to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if it goes to a game 5, which is 4 straight days. That's a lot for the postseason. That is, especially with pitching. Now, you would get the extra day off tomorrow. I guess it might balance itself out then, but still, it's interesting. It really is. So you hope the weather can hold up tomorrow. It doesn't look good. If I had to guess, they're going to try to do everything in their power to play the game, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. And if not, it's got to be then the game's got to be played Friday. It's probably going to be a day game or like a 4 o'clock or 1 o'clock game because then you got to travel out to Cleveland, and I don't think they're going to want guys, having a 7:30 game, getting to Cleveland at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then having another game the next day. You just don't want to do that in the postseason. So I guess we'll see how it goes. It's one thing to play 7:30 on a Thursday, have a day off Friday, so you can get in late on Thursday or early Friday and then have the day off and then be back at it on Saturday. So it's the postseason. Scheduling's very, very weird. You don't want to... obviously you want teams to be well-rested and all that stuff. So tomorrow will be interesting if they get the game in. You just hope they can. And if not, well, then Nasty Nestor gets to go get the ball Friday, and you maybe get a day game baseball, which you don't really want because just day game playoff games just don't need it. But I guess we'll see. How it all shapes out, and we'll see. I know the Braves-Phillies is... and we'll get to that now. I know the Braves-Phillies game right now is actually delayed. But yesterday was a wild day, too. You had the Phillies getting the win over the Braves. I got to admit, and I say this, the Phillies, I think, are one of the most lethal lineups in the playoffs. I really do. Look at their lineup yesterday. When their big guys come to play, they are legit. Bryce Harper going 3 for 3. Nick Castellanos going 3 for 5. Gene Segura adding 2 hits. Alec Boehm adding a hit and 2 RBIs. All these guys stepping up. Even Sosa rounding out the order at the shortstop spot. Edmundo Sosa, he gets a hit and an RBI. They got a very lethal lineup, and they did it against Max Fried, and he went 3 1/3, 6 runs, 4 earned, 8 hits, 2 Ks, 61 pitches, 45 strikes. So he got rocked in his first start of the ALDS after obviously really pitching well down the stretch, especially against the Mets in that 3-game set at Atlanta. So he gets rocked. But the Phillies, they don't have a bullpen. Zach Eflin comes in the 9th inning, who's usually a starter, but they moved him to the bullpen, and he lets up Olsen with the big 3-run bomb, and then you got to make a great play, and they barely win. They were winning 7-3 going into the 9th, and it's like, The Phillies bullpen is terrible. It's so bad. I mean, if they want to win games, they need to at least have like a 4, 5, 6 run cushion, and even that's barely enough. They had a 4-run cushion going to the 9th inning, and they only win by 1. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I really think this Phillies team, if this Phillies team had a bullpen, I would probably very well pick them to win. Yeah, I very wouldn't be surprised if they serious World Series contender. They'd be right in the mix of the division. Their rotation's very good. Their lineup's very good. It's their bullpen. Their defense is all right, but it's not terrible. It's their bullpen. And yesterday it showed. So, this is a Phillies team that they put a lot of pressure on their offense to score runs, because once you get to the bullpen and stuff like that, it also puts a lot of pressure on the starters. But good for the Phillies. I would like to see the Phillies get to the World Series. I would like to see a Yankees-Phillies World Series. I would really like to see that. I think that'd be really cool to see. So I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, good win for the Phillies. It was close, but they squeak it out. The Astros, however, take care of the Mariners, and the Mariners did. This is just a gut punch for the Mariners, and I really wouldn't be surprised. I know I said the Mariners are kind of like my sleeper pick. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mariners lose the next 2 games in this series. When you go out and you have 10 hits and 6 runs, you put up against Justin Verlander, and you still lose, that's just terrible. That's inexcusable. That is a real poor performance from the Mariners bullpen, allowing 5 runs in the final 2 innings. You had the Bregman home run in the 8th, which made it 7-5, and the 3-run home run by Yordan Alvarez off of Robbie Ray in the 9th. Paul Sewald couldn't get it done. They bring in Robbie Ray, who got transferred to the bullpen. He couldn't get it done. That's the risk you take of putting starters into the bullpen and bringing them into the big spot. I get it, they wanted a lefty on lefty, but Yordan Alvarez is good, and that ball was killed. That ball was smoked. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised, because, again, it's so tough to bounce. Like, when you don't understand, like, a lot of people are like, they came back, it is what it is. You put up 6 runs against Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander pitched 4 innings. He threw 81 pitches in 4 innings. He allowed 6 runs. You tattooed Verlander. You were winning this game at one point 6-2. Then it was 6-3. Then it was 7-3. When you hit Verlander like that, you cannot lose. And they lose. So that's bad. They got to find a way to win today, obviously, because just coming back from down 3-0, I know it's baseball. I know anything's possible, but against the Astros is going to be extremely difficult. And then the Dodgers get the win against the Padres. And something about Clevenger. The Dodgers, I saw a stat the other day. Clevenger had like a 9.54 ERA or something in the regular season against the Dodgers. And then they throw him out there in Game 1 of the ALDS against the Dodgers, and he doesn't even get out of the 3rd inning. He, too, allows 5 runs, 4 earned, 6 hits, and a homer as well. Interesting strategy from Bob Melvin and the Padres coaching staff. I know they just got done with, I know they just got done with the obvious. I know they just got done with, the Mets series. I get all that. And they obviously, some of their pitching wasn't, Musgrove just pitched and all that stuff. I get all that, but I still don't quite understand putting in Clevenger. I still don't. I mean, even a guy like a Sean Manaea, I would have put in, to start. I would, Clevenger. It's not that Clevenger isn't good. It's just the fact that he's not good against the Dodgers. I mean, him and Sean Manaea, both of them have had kind of rocky seasons. But Clevenger's been awful against the Dodgers. And to be fair, I don't know Manaea's numbers against the Dodgers this year, so I won't go really down that road because his numbers might be terrible too. But just off kind of the baseline of just my knowledge of, the Padres and kind of just what their pitching staff is like, I would have put Manaea out there. Or you roll with a guy like a Yu Darvish. I know he pitched Friday, but that's still Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, I know it's 3 days. It's only 3 days off. It'd be short rest. But, again, Game 1 in the ALDS is so important because if you lose Game 2, you got to win 3 straight. Like, you're already down. And, again, against a team like the Dodgers, too, who, I don't know. I mean, I know they threw Julio Urias, and the offense put up 3 runs, but I know Urias wasn't his best. But I don't know. Against a Dodgers team like that, you need to get off to quick starts. You do. I mean, against some of these really talented teams, you got to get off to quick starts because, once you get behind like the Mariners now, it's going to be tough. It really is because, not that they're not talented, but some, like the Dodgers are more talented than the Padres. If the Padres could have went in there tomorrow and steal a game, now all the pressure goes to the Dodgers. Like that's how big Game 1 is. It's such a, just the momentum flips so much in Game 1. Not saying the other games don't mean much. I mean, Game 7's obviously more important than Game 1, or Game 5 more important than Game 1, no doubt about it. That's win or go home. You could be down 3-0 in a series and come back. It doesn't happen very often. It really never has happened before. I don't really know the history of it all, but you could come back. But Game 1's big. It is, and some of the pitching stuff is just questionable. So we'll see. Today you got 2 NLDS games on: Phillies, Braves, Zach Wheeler versus Kyle Wright. And for the Padres, Dodgers, it's Yu Darvish today, so they do go 4 days rest. They put him back out there versus Clayton Kershaw, coming off of a good postseason last year. We'll look to have it, build off of it after he's really kind of struggled. He's never been very good in the postseason. Had a good postseason last season, or not last year, rather in 2020. He pitched really well with a 2.93 ERA in 2020 when they went on to win it all. So I guess we'll see how all that plays out this year. He had a 2.28 ERA this year, so he showed no signs of slowing down, went out and pitched very well. So he'll open up his postseason today against Yu Darvish, 8:37 p.m. Eastern FS1. And the Phillies Braves is currently delayed, 4:35 p.m. Eastern start. That's also on Fox. So 2 NLDS games tonight. And into tomorrow night, you got the rest of the ALDS. You have the Guardians, Yankees, obviously, Mariners, Astros, and then the Padres, Dodgers will have days off. And so looking to see how all that plays out. Should be interesting. All right, so that will do it for my MLB and Yankees playoff update here. Now we get into some of the football here that's on tomorrow night. As you know, every other day has been the podcast schedule. So tomorrow night, you got the Bears, Commanders, Bears 2-3, Commanders 1-4. Bears a slight 1-point favorite, over-under set at 38, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. You can find it on Amazon Prime Video. This is an interesting game. Not a very good game. A 2-3 Bears team versus a 1-4 Washington team. I'm going to go ahead and say here, I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. Bears, 73% of people think the Bears will win. I'm going to take the Commanders on the road against Chicago. I'm going to take them to win. Wentz is, however, questionable, so we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm going to take the Commanders on the road and get a road Thursday night victory. Wentz is fine now, it seems. So I'm going to take the Commanders tomorrow. Low scoring, 17-13. Commanders get the win. I'll take the under on the over-under of 38, and Commanders get the Thursday night victory. That's my prediction for tomorrow night. And, that will do it. So hopefully you all enjoyed the podcast here today. Looking forward to the baseball tonight. Got a lot of it tomorrow as well. Hoping the Yankees get the game in. Weather doesn't look great. We'll see. And, as always, hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.